Well, welcome to UpYourStack podcast. I'm your host, Noah Berk. I'm also one of the co-founders of OBO, an elite HubSpot solution partner. Each week, we feature some of our favorite HubSpot app partners who've either built their apps on HubSpot or have integrated with HubSpot to help you get the most out of your HubSpot tech stack. And today, I'm really excited for our guest, Adam from Sakari. Adam, welcome.
Noah, great. It's great to be here. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on the show today. And, Adam, I like to just dive right in. One, what does Sakari do? And I'm going to follow with the second question is, what does Sakari mean? Where did that name even come from? So I'll let you answer the first one so we just get to that part right now. But how about you kind of share a little bit more about what you guys do?
Yeah, happy to. We are a text messaging provider that integrates natively with a number of CRMs, including HubSpot. We built this back in 2018, and we've got now about 5,500 HubSpot companies that have embedded Sakari into their HubSpot solution. And I actually originally found Sakari in a thesaurus. And as we were looking to come up with a brand for Sakari, there was a lot of the website options were sort of taken at the time. And so I just started looking at a thesaurus for all these synonyms for the word to communicate and found Sakari. I saw the domain was available for $5. And so
that's a
Sakari,
great way of picking a domain.
Yeah,
it's like $5? Yes, I got it.
We figured we would just build a brand around whatever we could come up with. And Sakari was born.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I got to ask you, back in 2018 when you started this, obviously text messaging has been popular. But why get into this space? Like, what problem were you trying to solve
originally,
before launching?
So I had started another company in the moving and storage space, and I sold it to a big moving company in California and came on as a technical advisor. And at the time, they were looking for a transactional text messaging solution where they wanted to be able to take an export out of their daily labor planning and send effectively concatenated messages from an Excel file. So they wanted to say, hi, first name, please go here at this time. And to me, that seemed like a pretty normal and popular use case, but I could only find one solution internationally that would support that. And it really was a pretty poor software program. So I went to my buddy, Chris, and I said, hey, I think I've got a good idea here. If you can build this thing, I've got our first customer. And so he built it, and we really started to get a lot of traction in the moving and storage space with a lot of that transactional text messaging. Fast forward 6 or 9 months, one of our large customers in the Midwest wanted a HubSpot integration, and they liked our product. They wanted to embed it into HubSpot, and we said, yeah, we could probably build that. And so we did, and honestly, it just kind of took off. And over the course of the next 6 or 9 months, we went from 0 HubSpot installs to over 500 by the end of the first calendar year.
Wow.
And then now here we are at almost 6,000.
So how does this product differentiate? Like if you go to a HubSpot app ecosystem right now, there's a lot of products out there that say, hey, listen, we can handle text messages. How is yours different from a lot of the other products currently in the market?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's definitely over the years. Like originally it was really just a handful of text messaging providers, but now there's thousands of app partners in the HubSpot ecosystem. And I think there's a few areas where I know that we really sort of stand out. And one of them is the fact that we're a global messaging provider. So a lot of our customers want to message globally using just a single tool. So that's one piece that definitely has us stand out. Additionally, we intentionally kind of try to come in at low introductory prices. And so we want to expose our customers to text messaging, see the benefits of it. And once they try it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to see a lot of success. And then they really accelerate their usage. That's treated us really well. We also work to really incorporate a lot of the latest trends with HubSpot. So we're testing many of their beta APIs to be able to get the latest and greatest features. And we also have lots of really cool advanced integrations that work really well with HubSpot. Well, I'm sure we'll sort of talk about it, but HubSpot is super powerful and super flexible, but that's both a blessing and a curse because if we've got customers just messaging natively just through our own platform, that's fine. We could put really established guardrails, but once you start venturing into HubSpot where you can create custom objects and have null fields in many cases, you end up with these edge cases, and those edge cases are where things start breaking. And so we spent a lot of time and a lot of money on development resources to really account for those edge cases, to protect customers from themselves, and provide a simple to use text messaging solution that's reliable.
And, primarily, are you selling to marketers, sales leaders, like customer service? Like who's the primary user when they go ahead and purchase?
It's all of the above, but primarily marketers. But yeah, we definitely see that marketing is the primary use case. but we absolutely get large sales organizations that want to use Sakari. We get customer support as well, but definitely marketing is the most common use case.
Yeah, because I know a lot of the sometimes the B2C organizations selling large ticket items may communicate one-on-one their sales reps with customers. And we'll come to this in a minute where the differences between HubSpot's SMS services versus yours. But obviously, we know HubSpot on the SMS side for salespeople isn't the same thing. It's right now designed for marketers. How does it work for salespeople?
There's a variety of different use cases, but if you think about where we embed on the contact, deal, and ticket records, but then also within workflows. And so a very common use case is you might have automated messaging just to work to solicit a response. So maybe a new deal was closed, for example, there'll be a workflow to trigger that text message, encouraging them to set up time with the salesperson. If and when you get that reply, then at that point, the conversation either comes to the contact record or the deal record, where the salesperson can pick it up and we created and it's embedded into that record. Or alternatively, we also embed natively into the inbox as well. And so if your salesperson's operating out of the inbox, they can also reply there. So inevitably, it's automation to create that initial sort of line out, if you will. And then once you get one on the line, then the conversation comes to that contact or deal record for that one-to-one communication.
And oftentimes, how are companies trying to solve it before they get a tool like this? They just do
Email.
it, on their phone, and they got their cell phone out. The sales rep's like, I got to respond to this. Like, what does that look like? And then what's the experience for the team once it's been installed?
Yeah, it's typically what we'll see is either they're not doing any text messaging at all, so they're not really seeing the benefit of it, or they're doing it, but to your point, in a really non-compliant way using their mobile phone. And so we definitely encourage businesses to not be using their own mobile phones. There's lots of regulatory reasons behind that. But yeah, that's typically what we see is they're either not doing it at all or they're doing it using their own personal phone.
Does this also work for field service reps as well? Like people out in the field to be able to use this tool? Do they have to go into HubSpot to use it, or do they have to use your actual app? Kind of walk us through that, because I know a lot of clients are probably interested in, or companies interested in how that works.
It's a good question. And at the end of the day, we've tried to make it as flexible as possible. So there's a variety of ways that you can view replies, but then also respond to those replies and have it sent as a text message. So one of the ways is through the inbox. And so you can obviously access the HubSpot inbox either through your desktop or through the HubSpot mobile app. But additionally, we also have SMS to email functionality. And so we can send those emails to any email address that you'd like. And then you can actually respond to that email and it's sent as a text message to the contacts. It makes it a really seamless experience. And then we also have our own mobile app as well. And so with that, you can install it on your phone and then get informed of the replies, but then also reply from the mobile app as well. It was just in the last 6 months or so that HubSpot started releasing some of their initial text messaging. But some of the key differences are, one, it's only supported in the United States and Canada today. The second is it really doesn't support replies as well. There's just very limited functionality in terms of advanced phone number management, for example. So if you want to have a phone number for each of your individual salespeople, it doesn't handle that. If you want to define in a workflow what phone number you want to send from, it doesn't do that. If you want to connect your Twilio account, it doesn't do that. If you want to use a mobile app, it doesn't do that. And so there's a number of limitations to their system. And so we've still had great success with our HubSpot integration, given the amount of customization and personalization that you can use using the Sakari app.
And I know a lot of people are saying, well, I already got a phone number, already. Can I use my existing phone number to set this up, or do I have to get a whole new port, all these new lines, or I don't know, port's the right word, but get entirely new lines for text messaging?
It's a good question. And it actually depends on the country. And so depending on the country that you're messaging from, we've got different phone number options. So in the United States and Canada, for example, where the bulk of our customers are, we actually are most of the time able to use your existing number. So if you have an existing voice over IP or landline phone number, 9 times out of 10, we can actually set that up in your Sakari account. And so you can now make and receive text messages from that same call same phone number that you're using for calling. So that's a very popular feature. Another popular feature as well is we have a native Twilio integration. So a lot of our customers might come to the table with their own phone numbers through an existing Twilio account. We can link to that, but then sit as a layer on top of that to allow a lot more business functionality to be able to message from your existing Twilio numbers.
There's a lot of other tools coming into the marketplace. What differentiates you versus the other tools out there?
I think a big part of it, honestly, is we we've gone through some battle scars and learned a lot in the process. It's over the 6 years or so now, we've really grown a lot with our integration with HubSpot. We spoke earlier about the sort of the unlimited flexibility and capabilities with HubSpot. It's hard to work with that, especially at scale. And so where we've learned a lot is around how to optimize the speed at which we can send text messages, how we can get that information back into HubSpot, really to kind of provide the best possible experience. So we're able to do that, but then also provide it at a very affordable price. We've literally never raised our price in 6 years. And so we've done that quite intentionally just to kind of make it a low introductory offer just to get folks in and try it out because we know that they'll see success when they do. And then because of all of these things, we've been also able to leverage our relationship with HubSpot to take advantage of these new betas, to be able to incorporate the new features, to be able to pass those on to our customers. And so it's honestly, it's a great product at a fair price. And with that, we've continued to see great success.
You've learned the nuances of best way to integrate, the challenges these organizations are going to have and how to overcome them. If a client comes back to you, I mean, what is success? How is a client measuring success with your product generally? Is it speed to response? Is it salespeople functionality? What if they're gonna go ahead and make the pitch to their team? Hey, listen, we got to get our team off their cell phones. We got to be able to capture this data. We got to give them a system. How should they measure ROI?
It really kind of depends on the use case, but what we most typically see will be a ratio of SMS spend relative to return on investment. So you might spend $500 for a marketing campaign. What did you get in terms of response to your promotions? That's a pretty typical response that we'll see, or metric. We also see the overall reply rates. So you might be getting, let's say, a 10% reply rate on emails, but you might get 20, 30, 40% replies on text messages.
Have they tried another software before they come to you?
I would say a mix, not to disparage any of our competitors, but we definitely get some of our customers that come over from some of our competitors, either because of deliverability issues or customer support issues. So that's where we tend to shine.
Good point there. Taking a step back as a founder of this company, if you had to pass along some advice to other founders starting up their app companies in the HubSpot ecosystem, what would you share? What would you tell them to be prepared for, to think about?
As I mentioned, the complexities of HubSpot make integration quite difficult. And so for us, the way that we've tried to work around that is just over-index on terms of like content and helping customers help themselves. And so like literally showing them, what a successful workflow looks like, how to avoid some of those pitfalls. And then we've worked to try to account for a lot of these edge cases to minimize disruption. A good example of that, for example, is having fallbacks for phone numbers. And so there's a phone number and a mobile phone number field. And so we've intentionally set the system up to be flexible. And so the customer can select whether they want one field or the other, or a cascade of both of them. So it's through kind of all these like learnings over time that we've tried to like tighten those guardrails as best as possible, given the fact that it's still a pretty flexible environment. And that's been really helpful for us.
Now, do you find does it take a while to onboard new customers? What does that whole experience look like?
No, so we're typically bringing on between 300 to 400 new HubSpot customers a month.
Wow.
And we do that with little to no of an onboarding team. And so we're onboarding quite a few customers a day. And so we've tried to make it as simple as possible. So we've got videos that show you how to set it up, videos that show you cool use cases. We've got a daily webinar that we work to onboard customers with. And so it's through all these mediums that we've been able to onboard quite a few customers every day and make it quite seamless. Right now, honestly, like the biggest challenge that we've been having is just honestly around the phone number regulatory space in the United States, where over the years, that's gotten a lot more complex. And that's honestly the biggest challenge because it's largely out of our control. At the end of the day, we need the customer now to have a compliant privacy policy. They need to be collecting opt-in properly. They need to update web forms. And so we can educate them, but at the end of the day, we're at the mercy of their team to be able to get these things done. And that's been our biggest challenge over the last 6 to 12 months, I would say.
Who is your ideal customer? What type of industry? What type of size? Like, who is this customer that you generally would say, wow, Sakari is going to be the best thing for us?
For us, our ideal customer is that, mid-market or SMBs, up to about 200 employees or so, that's most likely in the marketing space that wants to send marketing campaigns through HubSpot in the United States or Canada. and so that's kind of, we
like
really
a lot of B2C or B2B or combination.
It's kind of both, but I would say it's probably 60 or 70% B2B and then a little bit of
Okay.
B2C. But for us, like we really span pretty much every industry, but we certainly see some good success with CPG, for example. That's a pretty popular space. But for us, it's a marketing agency in the United States that wants to send through HubSpot.
Oh, that's a great way of doing it. And you've been on HubSpot for quite some time. What do you like about the platform?
I like it a lot. Yeah, we've been using it internally now for the whole time that we've been an active company. And it's amazing to see the changes that it's made, especially just in the last 6 to 12 months. It's it's like just trying to hold on to this rocket ship. And so I really like just the continued flexibility that they've created. I like the fact that they've really advanced workflows a lot. There's been a lot of advancements there. So it's been fun just to kind of see the learnings and the ease of use that they've incorporated into the product to make otherwise complex things really simple to do. We've been playing around with custom objects a lot lately internally
Yeah.
for our own use. And it's been really powerful to be able to, properly map custom objects at the right dimension to what we track things internally. And it just works. And we can set up the workflows to automate things. And it's been really fun to sort of get that testing and running.
One of the things I'm taking away from this call is you're running a very lean team, it sounds like. And how did you get to that point? Because obviously people can brute force their way to customer onboarding, customer success, sales teams. Like, do you have sales teams? Do you have customer success teams? And how does that even look?
Yeah, there's about 18 employees today, but I think a big part of that is that with both Chris, my business partner, and I, we really are data driven. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but it really is true that we don't like defects. We apply sort of a lean methodology to everything where we don't want to repeat the same mistakes today that we did yesterday. So we measure all the defects in the business and we honestly work every day to get rid of them. And we automate a lot of our processes. And so when things come in, if we're repeating the same task, we'll write a script to get rid of it. And we've got a lot of internal tools that make running a big company base or customer base simple. So to that extent, yeah, we've got this small team, but thousands of customers, and it's allowed us a lot of flexibility to be able to manage that at scale.
Where did you come across how to do this? Is this some book that you read and you say, hey, listen, this is how we're going to do it? How did you come? A lot of entrepreneurs out there, obviously, we're all trying to run more lean organizations and be more efficient. But is there some sort of methodology that you're following?
I would say it's sort of been ingrained in both Chris and I. So I've got a supply chain background. And so, the lean methodology has always been something that we've applied in Six Sigma. But we both have long backgrounds in tech. So I worked at Microsoft and Amazon for a number of years. And Amazon, in a lot of ways, is very similar, very customer obsessed, very data driven, a lot of automation. And so that was sort of instilled in me. And at the end of the day, like Chris and I bootstrapped this thing from day one. We have no funding. And so it was just a matter of
Awesome.
getting it done. And so we didn't have any other option. Like we didn't have the money to kind of go and just hire people. So we had to get it done. And in order to get it done, we had to make it easy for us. So we put the tools and the processes in place to make it easy.
Well, the mother of all invention is a scarcity of resources. And I think too often organizations out there say, I'm just going to go ahead and get all this money, but you tend to waste all of it. If you
Yeah.
don't have the money in the first place, you tend to find more ingenious ways of solving problems that otherwise wouldn't be able to be solved. And it sounds like you've kind of really taken that to heart and has led to where you are today.
We have, yeah. It's been good. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the HubSpot, obviously you're probably familiar with a lot of different apps out there. What are some of your favorite apps in the HubSpot ecosystem?
We've got quite a few, but some of the ones that I've been really enjoying using lately, Profitwell. So
Okay.
we use Stripe for all of our payment processing. But at the end of the day, we want to get Stripe information into HubSpot to be able to update deals and update contacts. And Profitwell does that really well. And so for a very modest price, they've got an integration that ties right into HubSpot. So we've been using that for years and have a lot of automation built on top of that. So that's definitely one of our favorites. Another one that we've been using lately is Livestorm. And
Okay.
so we were using Zoom for our webinars, but we wanted to build out on-demand webinars, again, to kind of manage those webinars for smaller scale customers. And Livestorms have been doing that really well. And so we've been able to do that and offer both on-demand webinars as well as live webinars through the same interface. And customers can self-onboard. Everything flows through to the contact record in HubSpot, so we can start tracking everything. And so we know that Noah has seen this or he hasn't seen that. So that's been really cool. Apollo is another one that we really like as well for that outbound lead generation. Once we get those responses from the leads, that data automatically flows through into HubSpot so we can track everything as well. And so those are a few that we've been using lately.
I kind of want to follow on the tangent of Apollo. How are you generating your business? Like, how are people finding you?
It's through a variety of means. The number one for sure is just referrals. So we work with hundreds of HubSpot marketing agencies. And so we've created a lot of relationships like ours. And with that relationship, we just work to just educate those agencies on the latest trends in messaging and how we incorporate with HubSpot. And sort of over time, we've become that trusted resource of when they want to get text messaging, they want to ensure that their customer's in good hands. And we get many leads through that. In a similar manner, we built great relationships with the HubSpot team. And so we work very closely with their sales team to close deals as well. And so that's seen great success. And we really all believe in content as well. So we like creating good content, educating customers about the latest trends in HubSpot, how to create cool workflows that get us excited. And so we'll share that, and then that ends up driving leads as well.
Adam, all these answers and all the things we've talked about have been awesome, but I gotta say, you probably have some of the most fun stories. What was the most embarrassing customer experience you've had?
That's a good question. There's been some good ones over the years, but one that sort of stands out to me, it was 2019, and I'll provide a little bit of context, but as I mentioned, text messages are typically 160 characters, but if you send a longer text message, typically they're concatenated into one long thread. But with that context, we had a customer, and they sent out a big marketing campaign to a bunch of Canadian contacts, and it was a longer message, and it unfortunately got broken up. And back a number of years ago, it wasn't uncommon for those longer text messages to get broken up into multiple threads, one of two of two, and they sent a link. And in this link, it broke right across that 160 character mark, and it broke the link. And by bad luck, that underlying broken link worked. Unfortunately, it went to an adult website, and it was through no fault of our own, but this customer sent this large campaign, and the broken link was sent to an adult website for thousands of contacts.
Oh my God.
So
Tell me this company was in some place that by all means should never have sent that adult link to anyone.
It was through an agency, actually. And so the customer went to the agency saying, "What did you just do?" And the agency came to us, and we were freaked out. And so we researched it, and it was the carriers that broke it up, and it was just dumb, bad luck that it happened to still work as a link and didn't go where they wanted.
Turns out they're in the history books of best campaign ever.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely, thank you for sharing that story. By all means, everyone listening today, do not send links to adult website. Check it first. Make sure it fits within the 160 characters before you send it out. So again, that's awesome. Last question I have for you is, what's the future roadmap look like? And the big popular question everyone asks is, how's AI going to play a part in it?
I'm legitimately really excited about our roadmap. And so the messaging space as a whole is really cool. And a big focus for us is we're really going omni-channel. So beyond text messaging. And so WhatsApp is on our short list. And so we want to incorporate WhatsApp for business. So that'll happen later this year. But the one that I'm super excited about is RCS. And if you're not familiar with RCS, this is that next version of text messaging. So text messaging as a technology is about 31, 32 years old. But late in 2013 or 2023, Apple announced that they're going to adopt the Android framework around RCS, which is that next iteration of text messaging. And the best way I can sort of describe it is a mix of text messaging with a website. So the functionality that this is going to open up for marketers is just awesome. And so we're super excited about this, to be able to release this to our customers, because the functionality is going to be really, really cool. We also are equally as excited about AI. Internally, we've got our Sakari Labs team, as we call it, where we test cool things that get us excited. We've actually been beta testing some stuff with the Tesla API recently, just as an example.
Cool.
But where we're seeing this going is a few
you can
things.
control my Tesla with a text message. Is that what I'm hearing?
Maybe. So this is the stuff that gets us excited. But we recently rolled out an OpenAI message generator. So it creates message variants, and you can select that. And so that's really cool. But we're taking this in many steps further. And so where we get excited about this are things like sentiment analysis. So you might have a live conversation and we could use AI to understand the sentiment of Noah's comment. Was it positive or negative? And then based upon that, go down automatic flows within a workflow. In a similar manner, you create automatic chat bots as well to have that conversation, then kick it to a live agent if appropriate. And so that's the type of stuff where we see it incorporating it into the future.
That's awesome. I want to go back to RCS for a second. Can you just elaborate more on this? Because I think this is a new concept most people are probably completely unfamiliar with unless they're actually in the industry. And I think a lot of people may be interested to know what exactly is that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So text messaging in its current form is quite limited. And you're limited to 160 character payloads. And that technology is literally about 31 years old. And so we're really limited in terms of the length of the message and the content of the message because of this small bucket, if you will. But RCS just changes that whole underlying framework, which effectively sort of is like, it morphs it into a mix of a text message and a website. So within this, we can do quite a few things. And so one is we can validate that the sender is in fact verified. So you can know that this is actually coming from the Home Depot, for example. So that it adds a level of trust. But additionally, you can also now incorporate new modules. So you could do things like image carousels and videos to a greater extent. But then you can also do more advanced things. And so you might even be able to eventually manage your airplane seat assignment, for example. There's lots of cool functionality that will open up once we open up RCS that's super exciting.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people are like, what is that? RCS. And I can tell that you have a passion for this type of communication. It sounds like you're doing amazing things. And, I already referred clients over to you recently. So very excited for what you're working on. Very excited for what you're doing. And again, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I think all this information is super helpful. If you are out there looking for SMS, soon to be RCS, did I say that correctly? Sakari is the company to take a close look at. Thank you again for joining the show today, and I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you.